All right, thank you everybody for joining our webinar today. My name is Nick Emanuel. I'm with CropX. I'm the head of product in the United States here, and I will be being joined by Tom Chaplin of Tule to give you guys an introduction on the CropX and Tule technology. CropX just acquired Tule here a couple months ago, and so we're excited to begin our partnership and our joint technology development and expanding our offering to the growers in your area. So we thought it'd be a good idea today just to give you guys an introduction on both technologies. And I will say, as we get started here, if you could use the Q&A option to answer any questions, to ask any questions, and we'll start answering them through that option there through Q&A. And I see we're just joined by Tom. Tom, did you want to say anything as we get started here, or do you even want to? Do you have time for you to get started? If not, I'll keep rolling here. As Tom had some technical challenges with windy conditions out in his area this morning, so I'm just going to get started. As I said, my name is Nick Emanuel. I actually came to CropX through another merger back in 2020 of a precision irrigation company called CropMetrics. So I was the founder of CropMetrics, who we were primarily based throughout the Midwest, but had customers across the United States and some throughout South America as well also. But we were focused on precision irrigation, and that a lot of what today's talk will be but I will in the features that you have the capability to provide also. About 2,000 acres here of corn and soybeans in eastern Nebraska. So that was always a big kind of a staple from everything we do, is making sure we're grower focused. And not only is everything, tested on my own farm, but we test throughout several other growers' farms, not only in kind of the central region commodity crops, but also other specialty crops as well also. And I'm pleased to say, after 3 years of the merger with CropX and CropMetrics, that we are still very centrally grower focused. And I think that says a lot about our technology suite and platform. As we dive into the technology, one of the big goals, as I said, aside from is to bring the solution for not only soil monitoring, but also through the acquisitions of crops that CropX has made over the last couple of years, that brings more of a full agronomy suite of tools and feature sets into our technology platform today. And those are really just beginning to be being introduced here in the United States, and I'll touch on those. But it's exciting times because we're starting to kind of really bring everything together. Instead of having segmented technologies throughout our farms, the goal is to bring everything into kind of a central monitoring location. And whether that's technology that we're developing ourselves through CropX, or whether it's integrations through something like John Deere Operations Center, we have the capability to bring in a lot of different data sets and tools and technologies to simplify your guys' day-to-day management. When we look at CropX today, we are a global company with, as you'll see here, farms and sensors all across the world. CropX is actually located in Israel, but like I said, through their acquisitions of CropMetrics and Tule, we have a strong staple, and the majority of the business is actually in the United States. So a lot of what we do is U.S. focused, and then we kind of spread out from there. But you'll see we've been able to prove ourselves and continue to grow worldwide. And as we look at that, a key part of that with any new technology is how much we can trust and the reliability behind that. And I'm happy to say, each year that continuously grows and improves, and we get more and more feedback from our customers as we explore and grow within their own farms. And so just a few quotes here as we reached out to current customers and even new potential customers. But the one right off the bat, that was one I personally liked, because it was a grower not far from me, actually located in northwestern Iowa, but a very large grower dealing with several different types of crops and livestock. And after their first year, he was just really excited with what they had dealt with CropX, primarily on irrigation management. And he told me this quote. He said, out of all the technology on our farm has added over the past several years, CropX was the simplest to get an immediate benefit from. And he said that quote really came not only from him kind of as the technology manager, but it was a constant theme he would hear day to day from all of everybody that was involved in the day-to-day operations and management. So I think that says a lot, when you look at some of these larger farms who adopt to a lot of different types of technology and are getting great benefits from a lot, that simplicity is key when we look to get started. And you're going to see that throughout this presentation, that's kind of a staple with what we like to focus on, is that simplicity. And so you see, a couple of the other quotes, and savings and yield improvement. As you guys know, as growers, that's going to vary from field to field and farm to farm. But again, what we have proven is the technology has the capability to improve our yields, cut back on our savings, and overall improve our profitability. One thing that we also like to take some pride in is the amount of progression. We have a very large R&D and development, so all of our development is done internally, or the majority, I should say. And so just last year, for example, we had over 80 upgrades in both software and hardware. And that's something that when you measure that across other companies, that's a very large and significantly high number for where we sit at today. And so we're proud of that, and we're really excited because the amount of updates and progression that we have coming in just the near next year is pretty significant, and we're anxious to bring those out. So as we get into the bulk of the technology here, CropX itself actually started with a soil moisture probe, much like the one you see here. This is our 2023 version of the soil moisture probe, which I'm going to dive into details. But the probe itself is what the CropX company was started upon. And the goal back then, which this was 15 years ago, was really to transform the soil moisture monitoring landscape, where typically we're dealing with a hard to install or potentially difficult type of soil moisture probe that then has to connect with some type of telemetry device. All brings more and more complexity. So again, as I said earlier, the one thing that CropX has really been focused on from the early years has been the simplicity around the soil moisture probe to begin with. And we're excited as we release this 2023 version, because we've taken everything we've learned over the past 5 to 10 years and expanded it and grew and revised the probe to make it even simpler and more reliable for the long term. So ultimately, what we have here, what this 2023 version is as you see, it's a fully enclosed, all-in-one soil sensing to cloud solution. So in that mushroom on top, that mushroom head, what we like to call it, is all of the telemetry and the communication hardware device. So everything that is sensed in the probe shaft itself is measured and then sent back to the cloud and to the websites through that mushroom head on top. One thing that is unique about the CropX probe are those spirals, the spiral sensing devices that you see at 18 and 16 inches to start with. That is a patented device that helps not only one for installation, that basically you screw this probe into the ground and those will catch just like any type of auger or screw system and pull itself into the ground. But the actual sensors and the sensing devices are located on those spirals. And so you'll see in that second bullet point, one thing that we've seen over time and time again across all different topographies and soil types is the reduction of preferential flow penetration along that soil moisture shaft. So no matter if you're using a dry fit or slurry type of install with any other kind of soil moisture probe, one thing that we do have the chance for, or the potential risk for, is preferential flow down along that shaft until that soil is sealed up tightly around that soil moisture probe. With this type of spiral design, we take away all of those instances of a potential risk in air, and we get a much tighter fit and a more accurate reading from day one, right when that probe is installed. So with this 2023 version, one thing we actually did was we reduced the width of those spirals. They actually used to be a little bit wider, and through ongoing customer feedback and in R&D, we were able to reduce the width and the diameter of those spirals, which ultimately just helps with ease of installation. With that, we have 3 sensors along this standard CropX probe. You'll see that the standard measurements are at 8, 16, and then the bottom depth of 26 inches. And those sensing depths were taken across 2 years of customer feedback and questionnaires on what the optimal sensing depth should be if we make a 3 sensor device. And that's really what we came up to be. But having said that, you have the capability to install this shallower, which if you look close, right below the bottom of that head, there you'll see 2 different notches, which are kind of just measurement points on how deep to screw the probe in the ground or how deep to install. And that allows you to adjust those sensing depths if needed for specific crops or different soil types that you're managing for. And all of that is automatically adjustable in the mobile app and the web-based together with that. The top 2 measurements are measuring volumetric water content and EC, which we then translate into salinity measurements. And you'll see we can also do some advanced nitrogen leaching measurements, and then temperature. And temperature at all or is only at 8 and 16 inches. And also a newer design with this 2023 version of the probe is a removable head at top. So still, even with removing this head, all of the electronics is not open to any kind of moisture. The only thing that this being able to take off the top does is allow you to remove the battery, which is a chargeable lithium ion battery, which again just helps really more permanent crops where you might have that probe installed for several seasons. You can easily swap out that battery and charge it as necessary. At the same time, we also made the antenna removable. That used to be kind of embedded into that mushroom, but with the 2023 design, it's a removable antenna. And with that antenna, we do provide an extension cord or extension cable that comes with all of the probes. And what that allows you to do is extend that antenna out above the canopy. So many times, especially here in the Midwest, corn, for example, and I know vineyards are very similar, the canopies can create issues with cellular communication. And so with that, this still allows us to install that probe flush with the ground all the way at the surface, but then expand that antenna up above the canopy to improve our cellular communication. The other hardware option we have is a telemetry device, which is ultimately made for third-party soil moisture probes. So if you currently have a soil moisture probe, we offer this new telemetry device that can be ran with or without a solar panel. Ultimately, only a solar panel is needed if you're in some permanent type crop where the device is going to be out there year long. Otherwise, if it's just seasonal, you can get by without a solar panel. And this telemetry is small and sleek. It really fits in about the palm of your hand. But it's compatible with a number of third-party soil moisture probes. And this device was created, and again, this is another 2023 device, but was released a lot on customer feedback for growers who already have soil moisture probes, but they see the benefit in our website and our platform, our software platform, that they want to get in there without purchasing another probe. This gives you a cost-effective option to connect to any soil moisture probes you may have and automatically bring that data then into our software solution, which I'll dive into here shortly. And then you'll see there's other sensors that we can tie into that that you may or may not be using today. The other release that we had was a CropX rain bucket. Again, came from a lot of customer requests that everybody wants to know the rain. So we added the telemetry with a rain bucket and kind of a complementary package that you can order and get right out of the box. Tom, how am I doing on time?
If you can wrap up soon, I think that would be great.
Yep. Okay. So the big thing here is that we really wanted to show you a quick glimpse of the software suite. Again, remember that, this has been kind of grower developed, grower focused. So what we try to do is bring all that pertinent information in an easy to use platform, both web and mobile. Web and mobile both match each other. You can start with a very quick overview that brings all your devices and fields into one overview page and quickly gives you the information that you need to see, whether that's a summary of all devices at top based on both communication and or soil moisture. And then you can scroll down and see each individual summary of each individual field or probe as needed. Kind of using a little raindrop for status in that color-coded bar from left to right. You can quickly see what your soil moisture status is across all fields, and then dive into deeper details needed to view individual soil moisture probes, etc. Obviously, if anybody has more interest or questions, we can give you more. The software platform itself is what really makes us unique and key, and we feel is one of our biggest differentiators on the marketplace today. The map view brings in aerial imagery along with other data sites. You now can bring in, if you're connected to John Deere Operations Center, can bring in machine data along with easily import data from any other machine or spatial data set as needed. And then a quick sensor overview. Again, kind of running out of time. I'm going to let Tom jump in it. But then, as I mentioned earlier, everything matches on mobile. We actually just released also a new mobile app for 2023. And you're hearing me say a lot of new things for 2023, which is actually true. We just had a big upgrade of both hardware and software. And the mobile app, we've already been getting exceptional feedback on from customers on, again, the ease of use, the simplicity, and the design around that. How we're bringing so many different data sets all into one easy to use mobile app that really streamlines their day-to-day processes. So with that, I'm going to turn it over to Tom now, and then we'll stick around for questions here at the end.
Great. Thank you so much, Nick. It's really, I really enjoy hearing you speak about the CropX product and also your work as a Nebraska grower and your work with Midwestern growers. I've worked exclusively in California. I have so much to learn from agriculture in other regions. I'm going to, would you please, oh, there we go. I'm going to share my screen, share my presentation. Just one moment. Okay, Nick, can you give me a thumbs up if you can see the full screen of the Tule presentation? Great. So I wanted to comment for everyone on the call that I wanted to mention pricing for the CropX sensors. So when you buy a CropX soil sensor, that blue sensor, you pay $1,500 in year one. That's the price for purchasing the sensor itself, the price for us to install the sensor, and for the software subscription for that year. In following years, it's $500 per year. If you're a Tule customer, so if you buy a Tule sensor as well, we have a limited time special offer that you get $250 off that first year price. So you get the sensor, the CropX sensor installation, and the software for $1,250 in the first year, and then $500 in following years. The telemetry device where you can connect a Centec probe to it, that's $1,000 in the first year. You're buying the hardware and the software, and it's $500 thereafter. I'm now going to transition to talking about the Tule sensors. We have two products. We have the Tule sensors and Tule Vision. I developed the Tule sensors at my PhD work at UC Davis. And the Tule sensor is going to tell you two things every day. It's going to tell you how thirsty your plants are compared to the target water stress level. And they're going to tell you, given that water status of your field, how much to irrigate. And we do that by providing you with 4 deliverables: the measured water use, the actual ET of your field over a broad area, the water stress of your field over a broad area, the applied irrigation to that field, and then finally irrigation recommendations. Those are the 4 deliverables of the Tule sensor. And then the Tule Vision product is an iPhone app where you take a picture of your vines. It's only for vines at this point in time, and it tells you the water stress level of those plants. I'm going to move quickly through my presentation. Main thing I want to highlight from this slide about the company is that I started the business 10 years ago, and the technology was developed at UC Davis. Not a lot of ag tech companies can say that. In fact, very few can say that their product came out of fundamental research from a major university. And we have over 200 customers in the state, lots of happy customers like these people here. We've helped them reach their production goals and their quality goals. So let's take a closer look at the Tule sensor. The Tule sensor is a sensor that we put in the field above the plant canopy. And as you can see in that cage at the top, that's where we're measuring the actual ET and the crop water stress. I want to take a moment to emphasize here that this is the actual evapotranspiration. It's the actual water use of the field in which we put the sensor. It's not CIMIS. It's not reference ET. It's not the water use of a lawn 20 miles down the road from you. It's not the water use from a weather station next to the barn on your property that is attempting to simulate the water use of a lawn. It is the actual water use of your field. This is an incredible breakthrough technology. There's been nothing like this in the past. It measures the actual water use of your field. If you know how much water left your field, you know how much to put back on. It also measures the water stress of your plants. And then we tap into the irrigation system to measure the applied irrigation. That's what you see on the right-hand side. this slide. I'm going to move quickly for the sake of time. Just a few minutes left. Again, we measure the actual water use of your field. We do that by looking at how the wind carries water vapor away from the field. That wind is moving across your field, and eventually that wind hits our sensor, and the wind tells us that wind is carrying water vapor away from the field. And with our sensor, we can see how much water vapor was carried away from the field, how much water those plants transpired and lost the atmosphere, and we detect that with our sensor. And one of the primary advantages of a Tule sensor is that because we're looking at that wind, we're measuring over a broad area. We're not just measuring one plant, and you don't irrigate just one plant at a time. Instead, we're measuring a broad area, a much bigger area that more closely approximates your management zones. So you get to really see what your field over a broad area is doing in terms of water use and water stress. We monitor the irrigation with a pressure switch. These are pretty common in specialty crop ag here on the West Coast. So most of you are probably familiar with them. We measure the duration of the irrigation events. We've built a lot of interesting things on top of this, like push notifications that will tell you how long, when the irrigation system turns on and off, and if it's been more than a week since the field was irrigated, or if a pump has been running for longer than you expect. I want to talk about how we measure the water stress. And the way we measure the water stress is we look at, I'm going to actually do it with this slide. If I can direct your attention to the equation at the bottom of this slide, we're measuring the actual ET with the sensor in the field. So we're measuring how much water the plants are using with the sensor in the field. If the plants are not using as much water as they could be using, given how hot it is and how big those plants are, then they're water stressed. Plants regulate their water use if they don't have access to as much water as they need. So that if the plants are not using as much water as they could be using, they're water stressed. And that's how we measure that's the water stress value that we report to you. We get the actual ET with our sensor in the field, and we get the influence of the weather, which is the reference ET, and the influence of the canopy size by measuring those with remote sensing techniques with satellite and weather models. So this is a measure of how stressed your plants are. In this figure, you see what those water stress readings look like that you would get every day. You get to see that after the grower irrigates, which is what these vertical blue bars are, the plant becomes less stressed. Then in between irrigation events, the plants become more stressed. Then the grower irrigates and the plants are less stressed and are using more water compared to how much they potentially could use. And every day we report to you, here's how water stressed your plants are. This is really where growers get value out of our product. This is the core value proposition of our product, is that we answer for you these two questions every day. What is the water status of my block compared to my target? You can see on this chart here that this is yesterday's water stress value, and the target is this teal band. So we're telling the grower, your plants are more water stressed than you want them to be. We help growers set up these targets for their field. Oftentimes they already know what they want. And then so the next question we answer for you is how much to irrigate given your water status. So now we're telling you irrigate 9 gallons per vine to get back into your water status target and stay there. I want to talk about pricing for the Tule sensor. It's a different model than the CropX sensor. It's $1,750 per sensor per year. We own and install and maintain that sensor. You're just paying for the data. You can have as many users as you want. We repair it when anything breaks, as long as you don't hit it with the tractor. It's all inclusive, turnkey, easy solution. I'm going to quickly touch upon our computer vision model. Let's see what is the best slide to describe that. Maybe it's this one, because I'm 1 minute overtime here, but basically you take a picture of the vines with your phone and it tells you the water stress right there on your phone. It tells you how thirsty they are. And I built that model by taking lots of pictures of vines and matching that with lots of water stress readings, and building a computer vision model where I taught a computer to say, okay, I've seen lots of different water stress values in vines before. Now I can look at entirely new vineyards that don't have a Tule sensor, and I know how water stressed they are. It's like teaching a child to tell the difference between a giraffe and an elephant. Show them enough examples, then you can show them a new giraffe, and they know it's a giraffe and not an elephant. And what growers get with this product is they get to see pictures and water stress readings of their field whenever a reading is taken. Tule Vision is only water stress. It doesn't provide actual ET or irrigation recommendations or irrigation monitoring. It's just that one thing, and it's priced per acre. The more acres you sign up, the cheaper it gets. And I really want to stop there, just in the interest of time, and see what questions we might have. I noticed there's none in the chat. If you have any questions, please type them into the chat, and Nick, Kendall, and I will stick around to answer them. And while you're typing, I'll turn it back over to Nick and see if you have any other comments that you want. You know, after I publicly speak, I always think afterwards, like, oh, I should have said this. I forgot to say that. Do you have anything you want to add in?
I don't think so. I think you covered the the pricing. So, like I said, the big thing would be if you're interested in seeing more details, because I went over that pretty quickly. Feel free to reach out. I could maybe share the one slide for more information, or did you have any slides like that, Tom?
Yeah, that's a good point. So let me just comment that we will share with participants the recording of this presentation, and you'll also get an email that will have that information of how to contact us for more information about the CropX sensor or about the Tule sensor. It'll all be in your email inboxes. So stay on the lookout for that.
Very good.
Let's see. I'm not seeing any questions in the chat, and I want to be mindful of everyone's time. I think that we promised to take just about a half hour of your time, and I want to stick to that so you can get on with your busy day and cleaning up after the damages of the storm if you have any. So thank you all very much for joining us for the webinar. I really appreciate you sharing your time with us. I hope you have a good rest of your day.
Thanks, everyone.